Dot, 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 dot. Good morning, everybody. It's Fun with Thinking Friday, and I hope you are doing fantastic. This morning, we're going to have a little fun with thinking, and I don't know how fun it actually is. I find it fun, and I hope you find it as fun as I do. I want to touch on a little bit today on what I call the agreement paradigm shift that I think you and I need. But before that, we're going to skip other news today. It's Fun with Thinking Friday. Let's just focus in and make sure that we're having the paradigm shifts we need to be having. But before that, we can't skip a cup of gratitude. What are you grateful for this morning? I'm grateful for, and I want to hear this in the comments. Share in the comments what you're grateful for. This morning, I'm telling you what I'm grateful for is that we had aligned our life, and it looks like aligned our life in such a way that when the opportunity presents itself, we can invest where we want to invest. We've invested in pre-IPO for Hello Wolfie. We've invested in pre-IPO for Cortex, some fantastic investment companies that we're really excited about. But now having a real estate investment ready to go, and it's not done deal yet. It's not a done deal yet. Of course, these deals can always go any which way, but we're pretty positive about it. So I'm grateful this morning that we manage our life in such a way that we can at least react and respond when investments present themselves to level up. So that's what I'm grateful for this morning. What are you grateful for this morning? What's lifting you up? What's getting you excited about your life and what you're thinking about and what's going on for you today? What are you grateful for this week? What happened this week that you're just absolutely pumped about? I'd love to hear in the comments. Let me know, and let's talk about bloodletting. So I take this story from Stephen Covey's 8th Habit. And Stephen Covey reflected that if you were around during the medieval era and you were a medical practitioner, you had to have been competing to be the absolute best bloodletter. The person who thought that I could help people ease their ailments, heal their cancers, release themselves of spiritual bondage by bloodletting. And if I were only the world's best bloodletter, I could get it out. If I had the world's best story brand around bloodletting, I could sell more than the last person. If I only could get 6 Sigma certifications on bloodletting, then I'd know how to pitch this thing. If only I could then be a bloodletting consultant and train others on bloodletting. If only I could be a bloodletting coach and coach other people. Maybe I could sell my 5-part bloodletting course and make a ton of money on showing people how to bloodlet. You know what? Let's level this up. Let's take people on retreats to bloodletting. So we'll go sit in the spa in the south of France and we'll philosophize and talk about the latest developments in bloodletting. And if our patients were doing so hot, let's add a little personal development and positive thinking so that they really get the most out of their bloodletting treatment. If this sounds ridiculous to you, it should. It should sound ridiculous. Now, it wasn't ridiculous at the time. In fact, anyone who was selling their 5-part course or being a coach or a consultant on bloodletting was seen as the cutting edge. This is an example from Stephen Covey of a paradigm. And paradigms themselves really have a tight hold on us. In fact, a paradigm, if you look at the etymology, a paradigm, it basically etymologically alludes to 2 lines that will never cross. Kind of like the lines in a tapestry that go parallel, that go along the lines, not the ones that weave laterally, but the ones that lead longitudinally, the long ways. They never cross. And a paradigm is like that. It's a thing that never crosses, meaning you're so locked into this train of thought, you can never really cross another train of thought. Now, what we know in our world today is that paradigms themselves are great to get us through, to make some assumptions, to take things to the next level. But we have to remember that a paradigm is a map of the territory, not the territory itself. And with the wrong paradigm, a map of the wrong territory, you get lost quickly. Now, I want to combine this thought, and you're familiar with thoughts about paradigms. You know what a paradigm is. You know that if you have too tight of a paradigm, you could limit your growth. You know that if you sometimes leverage a paradigm, you can leverage that to take you to another level. You can use it. It can help or hurt you. Now let's survey our digital society very quick. If a paradigm is a map of the territory, in our digital society, territory shifts right underneath us and around us quickly. Clubhouse is like only a month and a half old to me and to you. It's been around for a little while, but it's here and it's shifting a paradigm so much so that Twitter is releasing features like that. And Facebook already has features called rooms that are like Clubhouse, but Clubhouse is hitting its own vein. In fact, if we don't want to be stuck or victim to our own paradigms, and in our digital society that the territory shifts right underneath us and all, we have a map of the territory and the territory is shifting. We've got to shift and upgrade our map of the territory quickly. We've got to shift and upgrade our map, our paradigm quickly. Now, in our digital society, what we're realizing very quickly is a few things. We've talked a little bit about NFTs, and that's blockchain-based artwork. So blockchain came, and it's like, okay, Grant, I was just getting my head around blockchain, and that was its own paradigm shift. And we were learning things about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and what we were realizing with cryptocurrency is that some currencies only have value because we agree that they have value. And we deliberated this for the last few years, from 2016, 2017, and on. We've been debating, does Bitcoin have any value? Well, uniqueness has value, verifiable uniqueness. And since the dollar has been pulled off the gold standard, we don't have verifiable uniqueness in our American dollar. We only agree it's worth about a cup of coffee. And it's because we agree in that paradigm that it is such. If you stopped agreeing that coffee, a nice coffee, should cost $4 or $5 at the local coffee shop, if we stopped believing that, we would just stop going to that restaurant. And when Bitcoin came out and other digital tools and platforms come out like NFTs, we're realizing we're just admitting and now accepting and walking into this paradigm shift that things only have value if you and I agree. And we've known this for a long time, but in today's digital society, this is becoming viscerally real. Clubhouse is an inferior technology, and the culture does things at an inferior time. But regardless of that, everyone is starting to agree that's how they want to do it. And because of that, people like Brittany, people like Chrisanne are seen to be on the cutting edge. Is it actually the edgiest? No, it's actually simple. Is the time working for us? Nah, they're adjusting a little bit, but they've pushed through to the point where society is starting to agree, maybe there's something to this. And as such, digital society and its agreements are bringing that value. And I dare tell you, the major paradigm shift that is occurring here is that we as a developed society, and I admit that around the world there are developing and underdeveloped societies. I'm talking about the developed world, and it's kind of reaches into the underdeveloped world and the developing world, but especially in the developed world, we are starting to accept the paradigm that things only have value if you and I agree they have value. So your landscaping company, your bookkeeping company, my website company, these things only currently exist, and we're starting to have to accept the fact that they only have value because we've accepted they have value. And that's one reference point. Combine that with another reference point, and that means that our map of the territory needs to be nimble enough to adjust our paradigms as the territory is shifting very quickly. So with these two things together, how can you thrive? How can you thrive? These two things together, to me, are making a case that with a very quickly shifting territory, we need to regularly upgrade our paradigms. Therefore, we need to have a very specific paradigm shift, and that is this. We need to shift our paradigm that agreement with people, alignment, an agreement with hand-selected people. It shouldn't just be all people. You should cherry pick your communities, which is another benefit of the digital society. We're finding people separating into their Facebook groups, and they're spending more and more time in their Facebook groups than in their Facebook feeds. We're seeing that Brittany, the more she gets involved in Clubhouse, now she has a Facebook group for Clubhouse, and that thing is a symbiotic thing, living and thriving, and people are gravitating to those places more than even in the general Facebook group that Brittany and Chrisanne, a lot of these people spent time with and built up to thousands of people. They're spending more time in that Clubhouse group. The paradigm shift I present for your consideration is to simply now accept that things only exist because they have value. And they only have value because we're in agreement with a group of people. And therefore, you should be heavily investing, more heavily than ever before, into the relationships you're choosing and the people you're investing with. In fact, let's take this further. The myth of the solo grinder, the myth of the solopreneur, the myth of the solo practitioner is not only waning. We've been talking for a long time on how the solo grinder, the solopreneur, the solo practitioner, they can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. See, look what Elon did. And Elon has never done this. But the myth that the horse and buggy is a superior traveling tool, we know, we just accepted it's gone. The myth of the solo grinder and the solo practitioner is as gone as that. Brittany jumps in and says, I am willing to experience anything. I think that's how I can be comfortable with paradigm shifts. And Brittany is jumping right to, she's paradigm jumping right to the point I'm making today. You need to be comfortable with the slip sliding paradigm. You need to be comfortable with, like, they have this phrase, men, it was a title of an old 80s or 90s relationship book. Men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti. And that means men can compartmentalize and women don't. Everything weaves together. I present for your consideration a paradigm shift is to slip between the both at the drop of a hat. To be as compartmentalized as the moment requires in your little waffle bucket to focus on that thing. And as soon as you come up for air, breathe, lower your stress levels, meditate, lower your cortisol, and then go into spaghetti mode where you're weaving in and out of things until you need to land. Paradigm shifting is the superior state. Not a paradigm, but able to basically jump dimensions, jump paradigms, jump between paradigms without getting stressed out. And I present for your consideration the medium by which this is accomplished. To move out of the ether between paradigms, and the medium by which to do this is who is the people, the specialists that you align with and come into agreement with, and it will become tangible value. I indicated that NFTs are these digital art pieces. And it's building on this idea that we already agree that things only have value because we agree they have value. So they're spending time and aligning with people that they're in agreement with. Collectors are starting to come into this space. The NBA has sold over $220 million worth of digital collectibles in the NFT space. Jack Dorsey from Twitter just sold a $3 million tweet. Digital space. He's building on what he's building. I just saw Gary Vee, and I am stealing this like an artist. I'm stealing like an artist from Gary Vee. He said he is going to start selling an NFT that's a collectible piece of art, and whoever owns it, and there's only going to be one in the world, can show up at any Gary Vee talk, get a front row seat, and then come backstage and meet with him, whoever owns it. Do you think there's going to be a bidding war for that? You know there is. Now, all this is built on brand, and Gary Vee only has a brand because we agree he has a brand. And he's never been a solo practitioner. So I agree with Brittany. We have to be willing to experience anything and keep our eye on improvement so that we experience something and we go, oh, this is helping, this is hurting. And we can paradigm shift quickly. And paradigm shifting quickly is what will keep your business thriving. Now, by that, I don't mean you're always going to be in the same business. I got a good buddy, Daryl, who got out of landscaping and went into pest control. And he's toyed with stepping back in and out of landscaping. But here's the deal. I don't know if you guys have seen the ads in Facebook, but the drone solar Web-driven landscaping tools, which I'm going to be investing in soon, are going to completely disrupt landscaping. So you might have a landscaping company, but to be able to paradigm shift with that, I don't mean necessarily have the latest and greatest tool. I don't always mean keeping up with the Joneses. I mean paradigm shifting. Experiment with it and then decide, is this who we're going to be? Or are we just going to go up market and do elite? Are we just going to do enterprise contracts for landscaping? Am I going to become a landscaping coach or consultant? Or am I going to have fleet drones? What am I going to do? It's only with paradigm shifting that anything becomes possible. And paradigm shifting and staying in a state where you can jump between paradigms, I contend, is only possible based on being in alignment with people who also believe in paradigm shifting and coming to agreement what has value today. So here's my quick tips on that. Number one, align with people. Take your connection and networking to the next level. And more than networking, more than schmoozing, align with people. You don't have to get married to people, but you need to accelerate who you're aligning with. You need to increase who you're aligning with because you will then, number two, seek agreement. What are we in agreement for? If you've ever read The Four Agreements, fantastic book, they talk about society only has any value because we agreed it has value. And as everyone's kind of having access to more and more Facebook groups, more and more Clubhouse groups, more and more digital spaces where they can really connect even further with their preferences, I encourage you to align with people, but then I encourage you to seek agreement. What do we agree works? Don't just talk and chat to hear yourself speak. Don't just connect to maybe get them to like your business. Connect with them to come under agreement of what your business should look like, how you should be serving the public. Number three, then celebrate your agreement by sharing it with others. Celebrate what you agree has value by sharing it with others. This is the only way your business will have value. And I'm talking, granted, we're touching on marketing and just networking a little bit, but this is like what I consider the next level of marketing, is making sure that you understand value. Because if you take this process for real, if you choose to align deeply with people, who's saying I love the Four Agreements? Who's commenting on that? Let's see. That's Lisa Welsh. I love the Four Agreements. Absolutely. Fantastic book. For me, currently, the big takeaway from the Four Agreements is that we absolutely need to be in relationship and rapport and align with people to understand what we agree has value. Because in my website company, if I'm not in alignment and agreement with people, the conversation, the discussion, the relationships might be discussing, I'm not sure websites have value. Maybe social presence has value. Maybe my Clubhouse group has value. Maybe these other things. If you're not exploring these things, and I'm not saying you have to drink that Kool-Aid, I'm saying you have to be a paradigm shifter to touch these things without stress levels so that you can think creatively, what applies to me? And then you can go align with those who you do align with and then seek to create things of value there that you agree have value. What I'm saying is don't just be customer focused. Be in relationship and rapport with your customers so you can understand what they agree has value and you can provide that. Now, listen, it's Fun with Thinking Friday, and this is a little esoteric for a Friday. I feel you. The big takeaway here is be comfortable. Be very comfortable with not just new paradigms, but the constant shifting into new paradigms. Don't just, it used to be like, well, horse and buggies are happening and maybe I need to upgrade my paradigm. Maybe I need to upgrade my map. And then you took out your pens and pencils on week one, month number one, you maybe sketched out a few ideas. Week two, week three, maybe you eventually a decade later have a new map of how you're going to handle cars. What I'm presenting for your consideration in a digital age, what we agree has value shifts very quickly. And I'm not saying you have to jump every minute. That's like a schizophrenic style of living. But I am talking about a level of comfort, some zen, if you will, some peace of mind, if you will, some centeredness and presentness, that paradigms are shifting and they're going to shift so fast that we won't be able to keep up. And that's okay. But from that, knowing that the game, that the approach is basically a two-pronged approach, being comfortable with paradigm shifts and then being very used to aligning with people and developing value and agreeing what has value with them. It's collaborative. And you're going to see this happen so much. If you feel lost in the digital space, you need to take a time out, center yourself and go, paradigms are shifting and I don't have to be on every wave. But if I can elevate, I can survey the whole landscape and then choose which part of that landscape to zoom in on. And once I zoom in, that's aligning with that group of people. And in aligning with that group of people, then we can come to an agreement of what we're going to create value of. This is what altcoins and cryptocurrencies are. People are zooming in and going, I'm going to value this, and they create the whole currency around it. That's available to us, and that's the pace at which we live. The only way to psychologically and emotionally survive in this space is to be a paradigm shifter. Food for thought on this Fun with Thinking Friday. But listen, in the end, you could flush all this and get out and just do your core thing. Brittany's going to go Brittany today. She's going to go spend time with Adam. They're going to go elevate at the 10X conference. Lisa Welsh is going to go Lisa today and do Vitality Farms and share her greens with the world. I am talking about heady stuff. It's food for thought. And maybe it's just a seed that gestates with you on how to be a better paradigm shifter, but also how to come into alignment with people and agreement with people in order to understand what is currently valuable so that you can have a thriving business in the world. Just my 2 cents for today. I hope you're doing fantastic. I hope you have a phenomenal day. I hope you kill it today. But remember the mission: igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great